It would all take place in the seemingly peaceful region of Gévaudan, located in southern France, a mountainous, secluded and mysterious place that would make for the perfect setting for a grim fairy tale. Historian and author J.M. Smith describes the region of Gévaudan as having enchanted forests, where the forces of nature are truly untamed. From 1764 to 1767, records note that over 100 people were slain by a vicious creature, a giant rabid wolf as the tales would have it, who would earn the name the Beast of Gévaudan. The first recorded sighting involves a young woman who was tending to her cattle. The beast made itself known, inching its way towards her as she stood petrified by its sheer size. Luckily for her though, the cattle in which she was tending to, which some say were grown bulls, drove the beast away, allowing for the young woman to escape unharmed. This would not be the case for the beast's first victim though, a young 14-year-old girl named Jane Boulet. Unlike the woman before her, Jane Boulet did not have a pack of bulls at her disposal, but instead a pack of sheep. The beast, which was described as a giant wolf, brutally killed her, much as it did to its other victims, where their throats were torn, their heads gnawed, or completely consumed. The horrific nature of these kills was so shocking that the tale of the Beast of Gévaudan echoed throughout France, and it even found its way to the ears of King Louis XV. The mid-18th century was not France's finest hour. They had suffered many defeats during the 7 Years' War at the hands of the British, and had ceded many lands overseas. The economy was in the toilet, so to speak, and the political climate of the nation was not a favourable one. Perhaps the Beast of Gévaudan was the last thing that King Louis needed. Or maybe it would serve as a much needed distraction, an entity for which he could focus his frustration on, and an entity which could unite France in a time when morale was at a low. King Louis would eventually commission the services of 2 wolf hunters, before sending his own personal guard to hunt the beast. But first, Captain Jean-Baptiste Duhamel, a leader of the local infantry, took it upon himself to organise the first attack against the wolf. It's possible that Captain Duhamel wasn't in this endeavour to serve the people, but more so to redeem his own honour for his shortcomings during the war. Therefore, he set about the strict organisation of his men throughout the region of Gévaudan, through the mountains and the forests, and even went as far as to use poisoned bait to weaken or perhaps even kill the beast, without resulting in combat. Sources claim that he even had some of his own soldiers dress up as women, in the hopes that the beast would consider it easy prey, and therefore reveal itself. Some have said that a reward was established that would equal a working man's salary if they were successful in slaying the beast. Captain Duhamel may have had the military know-how and the resources for which to trap and kill the beast, but he did not have much engagement with the beast. In fact, women and children are said to have had much more success in fending off the wolf. An example of this is a young boy named Jacques Portefaix, who was playing with a group of friends in a meadow in January 1765. The beast snuck up on them, but under the quick wit of Jacques, they formed a circle and held out pikes to ward the wolf away. King Louis XV soon learned of this particular story and was said to reward all of the children for their bravery. He was said to have Jacques privately educated at his own personal expense. Another tale speaks of Marie-Jeanne Vallet, who was attacked that same year in August, but she was able to fend the beast off single-handedly. It would earn her the title the Maiden of Gévaudan, where a statue would later be erected in her honour. By this point, the Beast of Gévaudan had become something of a sensation. Reports about the beast being a savage monster soon echoed throughout France, and were further fueled by eyewitness accounts, one from Captain Duhamel himself, who stated that the beast had a chest as wide as a horse, and its body was as long as a leopard's. He also noted that the beast had red fur with a black stripe, and that he believed the monster was a hybrid, of which its father was a lion and its mother was something unknown, but equally fearsome. Other accounts would speak of the beast having supernatural powers, which were in turn soaked up by the local press. Some have said that it could walk on its hind legs and tower over its prey as tall as a small tree. Others said that it could repel bullets with its tough flesh, and that it had fire in its eyes that was devastating to look upon. Another account says that the beast was actually killed, but that it returned to life moments later. It was also said to demonstrate an astonishing ability to leap across large distances. In February 1765, the king commissioned 2 professional wolf hunters, a man named Jean-Charles Marc-Antoine Deneville and his son, Jean-Francois. They would meet with Captain Duhamel, but their strategies to capture the wolf were extremely different. As noted earlier, Duhamel organised hunting parties and had his men positioned throughout the forest, prepared to take down the beast through any means necessary. But the Denevilles believed that the beast could only be stumbled upon through means of stealth, and that Duhamel was only hindering the process with his men positioned everywhere. Eventually, Duhamel was ordered to stand down. The Denevilles would incorporate bloodhounds into their hunt over the next 4 months, but were only successful in killing regular wolves. The attacks and sightings of the beast of Gévaudan continued, and it became clear that the professional wolf hunters were having as much luck as Captain Duhamel was. Therefore, they were dismissed from their task and were swiftly replaced by the king's own bodyguard, Francois Antoine, in June 1765. By September that same year, Antoine succeeded in killing a giant wolf, one who measured 80 centimeters in height and weighed 130 pounds. Antoine concluded that this had to have been the beast that had caused such terror, given that it was later identified by the victims who had defended themselves by the scars on its body. Antoine of course lapped up the gratitude presented to him by the people of Gévaudan and relished in his moment of fame. He would however remain hunting in the woods a while after, for he had claimed to have seen the female partner of the beast, as well as 2 grown cubs. Proving to be better at wolf hunting than one might think, Antoine was able to kill the female wolf and a cub which was already larger than its mother. Antoine claimed he had shot the final remaining cub, but that it had managed to escape, though he believed it could not have lived for much longer, given its wound. Antoine returned to Paris, where he received a large sum of money, awards, and several titles for his bravery and strength. It seemed like all was well again in the isolated and furtive region of Gévaudan, until the beast struck again in December, just 3 months after Antoine had left, and was able to attack a 6-year-old girl and a 12-year-old boy. It would appear that the beast was back, with a vengeance, furthermore lending to the tale that the beast could be slain, but it would return from the dead moments after. It also tried to capture a 6-year-old boy, but was fought off by civilians. It would attack again throughout the remainder of the year, and while it had once been dissuaded from attacking those who were surrounded by cattle, such as bulls, it no longer held such inhibitions. It was brazen now, slaying any animal that stood in its way between it and its human prey. The attacks would go on into 1766, where 35 fatalities were reported at the hands of the beast. The community appealed to the king to send Antoine once again to rid them of the menace, but the king denied them, believing that Antoine had already slain it, and therefore it could not have possibly still been alive. In essence, he didn't believe them, and turned a blind eye to their pleas for help. It seemed like assistance wasn't coming, and therefore, the locals took matters into their own hands. A local farmer named Jean Chastel had been involved in a previous hunt alongside Antoine, but because he had accidentally led Antoine and his men into a bog, he was thrown in jail. He was released from captivity given that the town believed they needed all the help they could get in defeating the beast of Gévaudan, once and for all. Whether or not the following is true or not has not been confirmed, but some believe Jean Chastel is responsible for the idea that wolves or werewolves in modern culture are susceptible to silver, or silver bullets in this case. Jean Chastel was indeed successful in slaying the beast of Gévaudan, with a single bullet no less, on June 19th, 1767. Rumour suggests that Chastel had actually coated his bullets in silver, or somehow was able to fashion a bullet out of silver that would be compatible with his firearm. Given that bullets hadn't worked on the beast before, it's interesting that one single bullet fired from Chastel's gun is all it took to defeat the beast, and for good this time. However, many argue that this idea is simply far-fetched, given that a farmer wouldn't necessarily have the know-how nor the means to fashion a bullet, let alone be in the possession of silver in the first place. Even if this was the case, Chastel's determining of silver being effective against wolves appears to be unfounded, as he never explained his reasoning as to how he came up with the idea in the first place. The end of the Beast of Gévaudan does little to answer many of the burning questions we still have today though. I mean, a beast that could seemingly bring itself back to life is quite clearly a terrifying concept to ponder on. But many believe that the beast was not bringing itself back to life, and that simply, Gévaudan had an infestation of large wolves, and so when one was killed, another simply took its place. This would also coincide with how quickly the beast was able to strike, because there was more than one large wolf out there, preying on victims. Historians also believe that there were as many as 9,000 wolf-related fatalities across the country between the 17th and 19th century. But what is it that makes Gévaudan stand out so much? Well, that's likely to do with the creative press at the time, who were able to turn the violent nature of wolf attacks into one physical embodiment, a giant beast that lurked in the forest. Others believe that the beast may have actually been of prehistoric nature and had somehow survived all of this time, though there is little evidence to prove this. A more compelling idea that stems from Duhamel's original assessment of the beast having a lion as a father is also considered by historians. Some descriptions of the beast at the time describe it as having a flat head, reddish fur, a dark line across its spine, as well as spots on its side, which happen to appear on younger lions. The descriptions go on to talk about its long tail with a tassel on its end, its long body, and the so-called supernatural aspect that suggests the beast could leap up into high places. Roars were said to have been heard from the forest, and large paw prints were also discovered. In essence, this sounds an awful lot like a lion if you ask me, but if you asked the common people of 18th century Gévaudan, they may have only had a vague idea as to what a lion looked like, and certainly wouldn't have known what a sub-adult male lion looked like, with its mane still not fully formed, and its distinct characteristics yet to still emerge. But I hear you ask, what the heck would a lion be doing in the forest of 18th century Gévaudan? Well, during the 17th and 18th century of France, menageries of exotic animals had become very popular, and were frequently displayed for public viewing. It wouldn't be entirely far-fetched that this one lion had escaped its captivity and sought refuge in the remote forest, more scared of the humans who had captured it than the humans who would later seek to kill it. Another interesting idea by historians is that Jean Chastel was actually a known criminal before his imprisonment by Antoine, and that he had been captured because he'd been training an animal to attack people. This animal was said to be none other than the Beast of Gévaudan itself, and so when he was released, he was able to easily kill the beast, having trained it to be docile to himself, and thus whisk away his reputation as being a criminal and replace it with one of him being a hero. But the tale of the Beast of Gévaudan remains mostly unknown, and it's still shrouded in mystery. With that in mind, you yourselves may as well take your best guess as to what you think was really going on here. Do you think that the beast was actually some otherworldly creature that could rise from the dead? Or was it actually just down to the fact that there were so many wolves in the area that people mistook its appearance? Perhaps you think that the wolf was actually this escaped lion, or maybe you think Jean Chastel was a mastermind criminal able to redeem himself in the eyes of the law by his cleverly thought out plan. Do you think the beast is still out there, lurking in the woods, and if so, why does it no longer attack in the way that it did? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button. Until the next time guys.